We talk a lot about James Wood on the show, and for good reason. But let me just tell you this much. CJ Abrams, he is the offensive weapon for your Washington Nationals, and honestly, might be the MVP.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I am your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on Twitter. Of course, look up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcast, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, and of course the video version over on YouTube. Again, just search Locked On Nationals. And later on in today's program, we'll be discussing just kind of the latest stretch for the Nationals, because this time last week, they've lost like 8 of 9 games. They're on that big losing skid of 7 games in Atlanta. Then they won a couple games there, obviously, but still, the Nationals, they're looking better right now. You just swept the Orioles, who are a better team on paper. The record indicates that they are not, but still, they should be the better team. The Nats, they're starting to look positive. So we'll discuss that later on. And of course, it is a Monday. So in the second segment, it's a Nats stock report Monday. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down? I've got a couple of guys that I want to really kind of hone in on there. Maybe don't get the most attention, but again, the Nationals, they're pretty hot right now. So we'll discuss that in the second segment of the program. But let me tell you about CJ Abrams. Before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Again, that is FanDuel.com. Let's jump into it right now. We talk a lot about James Wood. And James Wood is a fantastic player. He has an OPS above 900. He's 22 years old. He's 6'7". He's got some of the best power in the game outside of Aaron Judge. He is a stud. Let's put a little pin in that. CJ Abrams is the most valuable offensive piece right now for this Nationals team. And I think we saw that in yesterday's ball game. First inning, first pitch, Zach Eflin, a respected veteran pitcher. CJ Abrams goes yard on the very first pitch of the ball game, and that was just a little bit of an appetizer for what was to come later on. Then in the second inning comes up. He bolts another one to left center field going the other way. And I think this is where CJ Abrams separates himself. It's not separating himself from James Wood, but it's separating himself from others out there, whether it be some great shortstops in baseball and really across the National League, because CJ Abrams is doing something at a consistent rate that he has not done yet before, which is taking balls and going the other way. And not only is he going the other way, he's going the other way with authority. The rise of CJ Abrams since the beginning of last year has something that I think a lot of Nationals fans just kind of dreamed of. You hear when you're talking about these young prospects, and CJ was 23 years old last year. When you talk about these young prospects, everyone, and including myself, we always like to talk about the ceiling. When they're struggling, it's like, well, yes, he is struggling. He is striking out a lot, but so let's take a look at the ceiling. Not many players get to reach that ceiling. And it feels as if CJ right now, he's at the top and the peak of his powers. He's taking the ball the other way. He's hitting above 300. He's the highest slug in all of baseball as far as shortstops go, even leading Bobby Witt Jr., who was an MVP candidate last year and really will be an MVP candidate probably every single year for the next decade. CJ Abrams does not get the talk like Bobby Witt Jr. does. He does not get the talk of the likes of a Mookie Betts, who's now the shortstop for the Dodgers. I'm not saying he's going to be Mookie Betts. That's a Hall of Famer right there. But where CJ is now, at a 24 years old, a young 24 years old, in the middle of this lineup, every single day for the next 10 plus years, hopefully, CJ is entering the MVP conversation. And I don't think many, really, if anyone, is talking about this at this point, but I'll be the first one to say it. He does have like an MVP caliber ceiling. Right now, among shortstops, he is tied for third most home runs in all of baseball with 8. And meanwhile, by the way, this guy was on the IL for nearly 2 weeks. He missed 2 weeks of the season. We're only about a month and a half in. He's tied for third most home runs with 8 on the season. He has the second highest batting average, like 312. He is 5th in on-base percentage, which is pretty damn good considering he doesn't really walk too much. And he's also first in slug with a 574 slug on the year. And Bobby Witt is at a 508. No one is slugging the ball at the rate that CJ Abrams is currently. And if you look at all the deep dive numbers here with CJ, it's not just these counting statistics that we can say, well, look what he's doing right now. CJ is having an insane season, and also he's looking good defensively. The play that he made to end the game yesterday was really kind of something that, when you hit 2 home runs in a game, that's what you're going to talk about. But the growth of Abrams defensively is not really talked about enough either, because CJ has looked a lot better defensively also at this point. And I think when we kind of get into the nitty-gritty parts of CJ Abrams so far, his WAR in this season, well, let's put it this way. Francisco Lindor is always like the best shortstop in the National League East. CJ Abrams has played in 11 less games than him. And right now, CJ Abrams has a higher WAR than he does. He's got less hits, just by 9. He's got 1 less home run, but he's got more stolen bases. He's got the higher batting average and all the counting metrics. Sorry for that pause there, but what we were saying is that CJ Abrams right now is your really what should be a front runner in the All-Star game. He should be your starting National League shortstop. Now, it's not going to happen. Now, let me tell you why. It's because the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Mets. And let's be honest, those are bigger markets. The National League and Major League Baseball, they're going to want the bigger markets starting. And that's what's probably going to happen. And obviously, it's also a fan vote. Mets fans are going to show up, and Dodgers fans, they're also going to show up. But if we're talking about who's deserving and who has been the best shortstop in the National League, it's been CJ Abrams. And it's really not even that close. It really isn't. Now, we can talk about Mookie Betts and, again, Francisco Lindor, both of whom are having great, awesome seasons. But CJ is a 24-year-old who was really the first guy to come up in this rebuild. He went through the hard times. He went through the development. And now you're starting to see and kind of reap these benefits of someone who has gone through the process and has come out from the other side being an all-star caliber player. The ceiling of CJ Abrams, I feel as if we're touching that now. And this is not something that you're going to see just for one time. I think that CJ, this is the kind of player that we can expect. A solid defensive shortstop, someone who does have range, even though baseball savant's kind of weird with the range, and they always talk about how he doesn't really have the range. I don't really buy that. CJ Abrams, if you watch it with the eye test, you can see clearly that this guy can reach any single ball at any given time. Right now, with where the Nationals stand, CJ is your best player. He is your most well-rounded player. And yes, we have James Wood. James Wood is awesome. I promise you right now, James Wood is going to be an all-star eventually. He's going to be in the MVP conversation someday. But sitting here today, how do you not pick CJ Abrams as your next superstar shortstop, being the best player on this team right now? No one is on fire the way that he is. And also, while we're at it, why don't we extend this guy? He's not a Boris client. This is not someone that you can say, well, guys, we can't get ahead of ourselves here because he's a Scott Boras client. No, he's not. Rock Nation Sports, you can extend this guy. And if I'm the Nationals, I mean, he's playing his way into a $400 million shortstop. That's the way that it is right now. He's young at 24 years old. He shows power. He's got speed. He's a 2020 threat every single season for the next decade. And the Nationals, you have your franchise shortstop. You didn't lock it up with Trey Turner back in the day. It's time to make right with this decision now because CJ Abrams has arrived and he is your franchise shortstop and just an incredible player to watch each and every single day. Let's talk about this. It's a Nat stock report Monday. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down? We'll discuss that after we tell you about some of our very good friends over at Wonderful Pistachios. And of course, I've told you all about Wonderful Pistachios, and you're probably looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious. Well, you can crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. And Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts, and each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, give you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats that help keep you feeling fuller for longer. If you work a desk job, or let's say you're in the car all day, or even you just like a good snack, Wonderful Pistachios has what you need. They've got the no shells variety, which is what I want because it's an easy grab and go snack that makes me feel good about myself because it is healthy. And also, forget the feeling good part, it just tastes good. You want that crunchy, satisfying treat. Wonderful Pistachios, that's what they provide. And also, if you just want to crack the shells, you can do that too with the normal pistachio. So get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Again, visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Later on in the show today, how do you feel about the Nationals now after sweeping the Baltimore Orioles? I'll tell you how I feel later on in the program today. But let's get into a Nat stock report. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down? Let's start with yesterday's starting pitcher. They stock up Michael Soroka. Yesterday's game, I think, showed a lot for Soroka because early on in the game, he was nails. The first 4 innings, scoreless baseball, easy ins and easy outs after the Nationals put up, 7 runs in the first 2 innings, yet again. Michael Soroka has looked good. And I am ready to kind of wave my white flag because you all know this. I have been kind of crushing the Michael Soroka signing all off season long. And now I get it. And I see why the Nationals did so in the first place, but I just wasn't bought into the idea. But Soroka has looked good. And Soroka has continued to put up pretty solid numbers. And if you look at the trajectory so far, Soroka is 3-4 bad pitches over his last few starts from looking even better. Yesterday, he gave up 2 long balls later on in the game. And for someone who has not really been a consistent starting pitcher since 2019, that's pretty expected. You get later on into starts, which is done each of the last 2 times here, and he's gotten rocked around a little bit. That's as expected. But yesterday, he looked really good. And yes, this is a broken Baltimore Orioles team. We can all acknowledge that at this point. But over his last few games here, he has given up 3 home runs in his last 2 starts, 2 of which came in yesterday's start. But right now, Soroka, I'm buying in on this. He's looked good. The stuff has been there. Striking out 8 batters, walking 0. And in yesterday's post-game presser, he actually talked about this, which I thought was a great point. He has kind of made his name, or at least he did in years past, going up from the minors all the way up into the majors, into being an all-star with the Braves. But he worked himself into being a consistent strike thrower. Well, right now he's doing that at a very consistent rate, which is that nearly 60% of his pitches are in the zone. That's really good. And he's kind of getting back to his bread and butter days when he was really good with the Atlanta Braves now. You can look at the ERA and say, well, he's not having a great season. But if you look at the underlying metrics and the numbers, Soroka's been really good so far. And to be a 5-starter on this team, I'll take that any day of the week. Stock down for utility guy, my favorite player, Alex Cole. Alex Cole has not been getting it done at the plate here as of recent. Only 2 hits in his last 27 plate appearances. He is now batting .283 on the year with a .759 OPS. And really kind of the more concerning note is that he's not taking his walks. He's not getting on base, which is something that he has always done at a pretty elite rate. But right now, he's showing why he's a fourth outfielder, which is just fine. I don't think Alex Cole should ever have the expectations to be an everyday player. When he's hot like he was over the last few weeks, then you play him every single day and you sit Jacob Young. But now you understand why. And really, it's not, who knows, the book is never closed on Alex Cole. But you see as to why he is a fourth outfielder. He's great if you're in a pinch, which we were with Jacob Young hurting his shoulder over the weekend. It sounds like we avoided some pretty major issues there. But Alex Cole has been pretty ice cold here as of late. But still, I'll take my chances with him at the plate. And he's a solid fourth outfielder. But right now, 2 hits in his last 27 plate appearances, not cutting the job at this point. Stock up for one of the latest bullpen additions to the National staff, Andrew Chafin. He has been a pleasant surprise so far. But let's be honest. Coming into this bullpen, being better than Colin Poche, yeah, we kind of all expected him to be better. But he has been really good so far. In his first few appearances for the Nationals, he has been coming in some pretty big situations. The last time he gave up an earned run was actually in May 7th, nearly 2 weeks ago against the Guardians. And since then, he has come in and he has looked really good, in my opinion. Again, right now in the year, 5 2/3 innings pitched in the month of May for the Nationals. 6 hits given up, only 1 earned run, and 7 walks, which is a little concerning if we're being honest. But even then, I think that will kind of come with the territory when you have someone who doesn't really pump the zone all too much. But this bullpen is improving. And it's not because of Andrew Chafin. It's because of all the other younger guys also that we'll be getting into later on in the show. But again, the Nationals bullpen just last week was the worst baseball bullpen of all time. And now you're starting to see a much more improved version of that. And Andrew Chafin, he's looking the part right now for the Washington Nationals. Stock down, Nathaniel Lowe. Over his last 47 at-bats, he has 2 home runs. I believe he's got a double also, but he's got 4 hits in total. And he's got 12 strikeouts in those 11 games and a sub-500 OPS during this stretch as well. You find his OPS below 700 on the season right now. And even then, with the home runs that he has hit, you would think that Nathaniel Lowe would be in a better spot offensively, and he's still good. He's having a successful season so far. But right now, again, it's a stock report. As of recent, the results have shown that he has not been that hot for the Nationals. And again, not getting the job done. In yesterday's contest, when you have CJ Abrams going 3 for 5 with a double and 2 home runs, James Wood providing 2 hits and a couple RBIs in crucial situations. And you have Keibert Ruiz adding a big hit as well. Nathaniel Lowe goes 0 for 5 with 2 Ks. Not the best experience, even when Josh Bell went 1 for 4 with the solo home run in yesterday's ball game. Alex Cole provided a hit for the Nationals. Jose Tena had multiple hits. So Nathaniel Lowe has gotten really quiet here as of late, but with where the Nationals are, Nathaniel Lowe has got to get back on track, and he's got to start hitting those fastballs yet again. Let's bring you to our last stock up, and that is for Cole Henry. Cole Henry, again, this has been a thing, and it's going to be a thing. Cole Henry for the Nationals, for, again, people who do not know, a second-round pick back in 2020 out of LSU. Cole Henry had TOS surgery. We all thought that it was kind of done for, and he kind of was shut down as a starter because, again, you don't want someone with some nerve issues going out there. It's the same procedure that Steven Strasburg had that ruined his career. So obviously the Nationals are going to be very cautious with where Cole Henry is at in his development. But since coming into the bullpen for the Nationals, the 25-year-old has proven to be a legit, very good bullpen piece right now. And I'm looking at his numbers in the month of May. He has yet to allow an earned run yet in this month. And even then, looking back at his previous starts, in 1 game has he given up a run so far. And we're talking about 13 appearances. And that was that one time where he gave up 5 earned runs against the New York Mets, where he gave up that big home run. He just walked the yard there, was getting rocked around. And that's going to happen when you're really a pitcher in any situation. Having a dud, everyone has it every now and then. But Cole Henry has proven to be a legit bullpen piece, and now we're starting to see just kind of where he could be. Because the Nationals, they have been very cautious about the way they use Cole Henry so far, but he has pitched a ton more over this last week. And just looking at it, against the Braves, he came in, pitched an inning, and shut down baseball, struck out 2 batters. And then against the Braves again, did the same thing, struck out a batter in 2/3 of an inning. Then in the Orioles, got out of a jam a few nights ago. And then in yesterday's contest, pitching 1 full inning and getting the job done yet again. For a bullpen that was in shambles this time last week, Cole Henry is starting to really pick it up in some big situations and being a bullpen guy that we can rely on each and every single day. So stock up for Cole Henry, and that concludes our Nats stock report. So just to kind of wrap it up for you, a stock up for Michael Soroka, stock down for Alex Cole, and a stock up for Andrew Chafin, stock down for Nathaniel Lowe, and a stock up for bullpen stud Cole Henry. Let's talk about this next. How do you feel about where the Nationals are right now? The Nats this time last week, they were struggling in Atlanta, and things were just not looking all too great. But how do you feel about things right now? Well, we'll tell you about that after we tell you about my good friends at FanDuel. And the NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action, and FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. I've got my eyes on the 2 best players in basketball. I've got Anthony Edwards and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Game 1 starting this week. I cannot wait for that game. You can't wait for that game, but FanDuel makes it feel a little bit bigger. I've got the over on points in Anthony Edwards. I've got over on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think you guys should do the same and make that game a little bit more fun, because what would it look like to combine live prop bets mid-game based on how the action unfolds? Well, you can find that out over on FanDuel. And are you new to FanDuel? It's a perfect time to sign up and head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets and make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And right now, let's talk about this with the Washington Nationals. How do you feel after the Nationals, in yesterday's contest, by the way, swept the Baltimore Orioles? They are no longer the worst bullpen in baseball right now. And let's be honest, a team that was supposed to be really good with the Baltimore Orioles, they are 15-30. They're winning 33% of their games. And the Nationals sit at 21-27 on this season. I'm feeling okay. I'm not feeling great. 2 weeks ago, the Nationals were 2 games under 500. We obviously know what happened in Atlanta. We know what has happened really since then overall with the Nats. The bullpen has been a big issue. But over this last week, and really over the weekend, this is kind of what the Nationals needed. When you have a young, up-and-coming team the way that the Nats do, CJ Abrams and James Wood can only carry this team so much. And that's kind of what the case was for this weekend. And even then, the Nats, they've got some holes here. And we all know that. And these holes should have been addressed in the offseason. The Nationals should have spent more money. They should have been a little bit more wise and kind of bold about the way that they sign guys like Colin Poche, Lucas Sims. They're already out the door, and there are some of our big acquisitions from this offseason. Josh Bell could be next. He did hit a home run in yesterday's contest, but still. The Nats, they've got some holes. We all know that. But right now, with where these young guys are, CJ Abrams, terrific game yesterday, one of the best offensive shortstops in baseball right now. James Wood, one of the brightest young superstars in the game and one of the biggest power threats in all of baseball at this point, standing at 6'7". And also, let me just add, playing some really good defense in left field as of late also. But then you look at the other guys. Jose Tena having a solid season so far. He puts the ball in play. We all see that he can go for extra bases. And he's also, by the way, really good defensively over at third base. Dylan Cruz in yesterday's game, adding 2 hits to the pile there also. The Nats are not a complete product, but I do feel better. In looking at this bullpen, I can kind of see them piecing together a young, bright future, even as far as pitching goes. Cole Henry, who we talked about, really solid so far. Love his stuff. Kyle Finnegan, an all-star last year as a closer for the Nationals. Not a young guy, but still homegrown here in DC. Then also, Jackson Rutledge has had some really bright moments for the Nats over the last couple of weeks also. And then you get down to Jose Ferrer. Hasn't shown the stuff, or really actually hasn't shown the results, rather. The stuff, it's been there. He's got the best stuff in this bullpen. And I'm going to bank on that helping out in the future, probably sometime here soon. But I feel decent compared to where I was last week. Not as good as where I felt 2 weeks ago when the Nationals were, again, 2 games under 500. But where we are today, the boys are playing better. You got an off day today, and then you're at home against the Atlanta Braves, which, again, last year you dominated against them. This year, not so much, but it's only been 1 series, and now you can get things right and beat up on those Braves. So thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.